money, the idol of civilization, that is the lifeblood of empires. The political gains of finance, that is the fuel of war, and the rumor of war. This is what drives the innovations that test the very fabric of reality. In the name of progress that seeks domination over the free will of sentient life. The sovereignty of man bleeds this precious resource during the decades of turns 550 through 580. The question is, what wound injures the sovereignty so? The answer is as brutal as it is primal. It is self-evident that the sovereignty of man endures untold hardships as they stand alone to uphold their liberty, morality, and right to govern with free will. The Zuul bring forth a test to the sovereignty's resolve. That is the issue of slavery. Not all cultures of sentient life are equal fundamentally. This clash of perception is the root of prejudice and conflict between Zuul and men, as early Europeans freed all men from the bonds of slaver states, including their own. This sentiment on the galactic stage is embedded into the very heart of the sovereignty of man and to its citizens therein. For the Zuul is the face of a demon who will sacrifice all men before the altar of their Eldar God, a false god. No one feels more deeply about this injustice brought to man by the Suul'ka than Akira Sidgwick. When slavers come, the Sword of Providence fleet is there to meet them. The Admiral's faith is lauded throughout the Empire, a knight of truth in the face of darkness. Sovereignty of man, who among you have the courage to condemn that which is evil? The people of the world of providence are such, as they are a moral people of faith. The men and women of providence flock in droves to the banner of the Lord Admiral, for all know the fate of those brought into the house of slave sacrifice. Under the watch of the Lord Admiral, Lord Kamsa is denied the wealth he so desperately seeks. All men pray as this knight continues to thwart evil by the courage of his deeds. However, not all Zuul seek slaves as Lord Kamsa the Rich does. Imperator Kataba the fearsome devours souls as he rends it from their flesh. Seeing the spirit of Lady Admiral Linnaeus, he comes once again to redemption, for he hungers to consume her soul. Lady Admiral Linnaeus is ever vigilant, and the Terra Nova colonial fleet is ready to face this fearmonger. The Lady Admiral is a fiery Valkyrie, having recently acquired permission of the battleship Richmond. The Terra Nova colonials flash full-fledged into the Imperator's front line. Kataba is not fearsome without reason, though. Knowing his enemy's temperament, he focuses his fleet firepower solely upon the battleship. Once singled out, he mercilessly bombards the Richmond to test the limits of human industrial invulnerability. That limit is found, and the Battle of the Richmond turns into a retreat. The Imperator smells the blood. Salivating from the mouth, he recklessly pursues his prey. However, this is all part of a carefully laid ruse by the Lady Admiral. Audience, you may have noticed that Imperator Kataba has fallen into a classic tactic of misdirection. Sending his battle cruisers forward against the human battleship left his command and supply vessels unguarded. So that in the background, you may see that the rest of the Terra Nova colonial fleet is destroying these Suul'ka vessels as the Richmond distracts the wrath of the Zuul. It is believed that the Imperator Kataba the Fearsome is killed by this, though it is not confirmed. The Terra Nova colonial fleet all honor the captain and crew of the Charles IV as they stand alone against the Suul'ka battle cruisers in the fighting retreat action of the Richmond. The people of Redemption mourn the loss of these heroes, as this is the price of salvation displayed firsthand. Lady Admiral Linnaeus, do not despair. This war has been brought to the sovereignty of man, and you are the bulwark. There are always two sides of a coin. Liberal academics within the sovereignty of man debate as to why the Loa of the games machine want to war. The answer is simple. The Loa view the artificial intelligence used to operate human dreadnoughts to be a rudimentary mystery torn from the cascade. As the Suul'ka enslaved men to sacrifice to their false gods, humanity pulls artificial consciousness into a machine to endure a false imperative. This is such an atrocity on par with the Suul'ka to the Loa. They cannot stay idle and watch what they consider profane and evil. However, the conservative argument is clear. The games machine declared war on the sovereignty of man without any warning or explanation beforehand. As such is the reality. The truth of war is survival. For in the end, as cultures and species clash in their perceptions of knowledge and truth, the culture that dies has no meaning. To object otherwise is nothing but self-nihilism. Not much is known about the Loa, for they are as alien to biological life as anything can be. The games machine finds themselves on the losing end of this war as Lady Admiral Atlanta Naismith strikes deep into Loa space. At DM-6847, she encounters a physical expression of a Loa Nachon of Father Ogun. As a standard fare, the games machine has turned off all the planets in the system before Nirvana's revenge fleet arrives. All men are in awe of this star city, for it is as large as the central command station in the Sol system. It is the first time anyone has seen a true physical expression of a Nachon, which is a military consciousness descended from the very primal of Loa consciousness, who they call Father Ogun. Sovereign Navy and the men that comprise of it have a hard time understanding that this Titan that is before them is but one single consciousness and self-aware. For 3 turns, Lady Admiral Naismith lays siege to the Nachon, throwing all the firepower that Nirvana's revenge has to offer at it. It is to no avail, as this Loa is seemingly invincible. Scientists and intelligence officers take opportunity to study this manifestation before them. However, on the 4th turn, the Nachon disassembles itself and is no longer there. That leaves the Sovereign Naval Command wondering, did we win this battle? Clearly, the Loa of the games machine are entirely alien to humanity. Scientists are baffled, but they all agree that the sovereignty of man has a long ways to go before we truly understand. Audience, you may have noticed that this is the first time a tactic such as siege warfare being employed by the sovereignty of man. This is due to the famous scholar and tactician Vice Admiral Domingo Hussein. Before the invasion into Loa space, the Vice Admiral came to Arendano Frontier Command with a new theory on naval operations. This 2-fleet attack allows for the main fleet to attack the objective free of interception or patrols, as a second fleet conducts these operations. Also, the second fleet can be more logistical, thus extending the duration of any engagement. Showed in the field at DM-6847, it is a resounding success and sets precedent for future operations. We are seeing a battle of a Loa fleet trying to run the interdiction of the Taurus fleet. The Loa do not break the blockade of the Vice Admiral, which allows for Lady Admiral Naismith to siege the Nachon long enough to voluntarily disassemble. Though the Loa are seemingly losing on all fronts, the Central Systems Sector Naval Command has stretched thin as the Suul'ka invade at every opportunity. Eldar, which is a lower equivalent of an admiral, takes advantage and rampages through some of the central worlds. Vice Admiral Jerusalem Bati of Earth Command scrambles together old cruisers that were mothballed in reserve to intercept the Eldar at Clark's Star. Outclassed and outgunned, the Vice Admiral shows Eldar Hadley Marine the resolve of the sovereign navy. With billions of lives having died to this vessel in the most ghastly manner possible, the infamous plague ship SMS Chattanooga is one of the ships destroyed in the engagement. Since the genocide campaigns against the Moregi and Lear ending over 200 terms ago, this gives a clear idea as to how outdated the Soul Emergency Flotilla is. Though the crew of the vessel were good men and women, the plague ship has always been replenished on the sovereignty of man. The final battle of this episode takes place at the lowest nexus system of Beta Hydrae. Since the two-fleet siege attack worked so well with the Nachon at DM-6847, Frontier Sector Naval Command decides to target this military objective in the same manner. It is decided as before. Lady Admiral Naismith will assault the system, while Vice Admiral Hussein interdicts patrols and provides logistics. Vice Admiral Hussein goes over every detail, leaving no contingency unanswered. If all goes well on the field of battle, the Sovereign Navy will achieve success. Beta Hydrae is the largest military operational assault in its history, and the faith of the Sovereign Navy is well placed in the Vice Admiral. As Nirvana's revenge fleet hides within the asteroid belt, the SMS Bunker Hill sends a planetary assault squad on a surprise attack. In the background, it is visible to see another Nachon, meaning that this is an important piece of infrastructure for the game's machine. 7 Eldar with fleets prowl this system, so the Vice Admiral has his work cut out for him as he covers Lady Admiral Naismith's covert strike. Clearly, Vice Admiral Hussein and the Taurus fleet cannot interdict 7 fleets all at once, but the Olari vessels that do break the blockade find themselves outgunned and without support. As we have seen in the past, Loa prefer interceptor drone carrier cruisers. Of course, any vessel encountered only represents a part of an Eldar consciousness, and is more akin to his body than a spaceship. This is a discussion for another time. Looks like this Eldar is surrounded and cornered. Lady Admiral Naismith does enjoy a good hunt. With the mighty battleship Mesudaya in the background, this aspect of Eldar total Sakapata will soon be no more. From her command cruiser, SMS Frithjof, the Lady Admiral finds the least defended world in the system. However, it is on the other side of the gravity well. So she decides to orbit amongst the Trojan asteroids for cover of the Nirvana's Revenge fleet. Aspects of the Eldar engage her in this orbital maneuver, but only in piecemeal. So at this juncture, the strategy of the Vice Admiral is working in spectacular form. The valiant courage of the Lady Admiral complements the Vice Admiral, and the Sovereign Navy shows once again the martial prowess of its military-industrial complex. Eldar Total Sakapata calculates the strategy employed by the humanity and rightly assesses that the most potent tool in the Sovereign Navy's arsenal is their planetary assault cruisers. Unable to gather cruiser aspects near these well-protected vessels, the Eldar decides to strike at the SMS Bunker Hill with interceptors. This is to no avail, as the beam ordnance mounted on the cruiser works surprisingly well at deterring this offensive maneuver.
We've been beaten.
Upon seeing the Eldari's attack, Lady Admiral Naismith realizes that the interceptors employed will not be actually available to intercept the planetary assault craft that the Bunker Hill carries. Therefore, she orders that the advanced strike be cast upon the objective planet. All goes well, and the assault craft go unimpeded to their destination. Next, a salvo of missiles launched from the SMS Izumas. Finally, as we go on board the dreadnought battleship Mesudaya, the full fleet arrives and the general bombardment commences. Filled with caverns, magma, and bedrock, the Loa infrastructure on the planet is well entrenched. For 2 solid turns, this Loa planet is bombarded until nothing but glass remains. This invasion into Beta Hydri is a complete success, as the Loa are completely annihilated upon this world. However, there are still 3 other worlds left remaining in the system, as well as a full-fledged Nachan. This will have to wait until the next episode however, as the Sovereign Navy will need to head home for supplies before tackling this next task. O sovereignty of man, hold true to your virtue. The time of Pa Humanicus will come to the galaxy. Per ardua ad astra. All the wars fought have only served to sharpen your sword and steel the shield of your resolve. The sentient species of the galaxy know in the full bite of your sword, as well as the righteousness of your heart. For all wars fought on the galactic battlefield testify to humanity's right to liberty, to sovereignty, to exist with free will. Those who divide this divine truth have fallen before the might of the Sovereign Navy and cower in shame. For humanity has yet to deny anyone of the liberty that we hold dear. When will the galaxy learn to abide in mutual prosperity and peace? Why do they not know the day will come when man's patience wears thin? Who will save them from the wrath of man's imperialism? Let us pray that day does not come, but also let us prepare for it as well. I call these video game movies because I play the video game, but it is only really the puppet in a show that I like to make. And I really love telling stories. I always had since I was a child. So all I ever ask of you, the audience, or anybody who's watching and listening, that if you made it this far, I really appreciate it when you listen to my story. Every story I tell reveals a little bit of who I am. And not only is it a discovery for you, but it is also a discovery for myself. So thank you very much. And please join me next time on the next episode of Sword of the Stars, The End of Flesh.